Today, Moskovsky Komsomolets reports on the brutal attack in Chechnya on Russian investigative journalist Elena Milashina from Novaya Gazeta and lawyer Alexander Nemov. It happened as they were on their way to court in Grozny for the sentencing of Zaryema Musayeva, the wife of a federal judge who was in effect kidnapped by Chechen security officers from her home in Nizhny Novgorod, an act of revenge for the activism of her son who's abroad. On their way to court, Yelena and Alexander were abducted, tied, forced to their knees, pistol to the head. There was worse to come. They were beaten, stabbed, tortured, fingers broken, humiliated. They shaved all of Yelena's hair off. A green dye was thrown all over her. This story is a test of whether society and the state can protect the law, in other words, itself. The law is the foundation of any state. Take it away, and everything falls apart. And instead of civilization, you get chaos and destruction. The law must always function and apply to everyone. In recent times, we've seen how certain people have been above the law. In place of the judge with his gavel, thugs with sledgehammers. And this is the result. Several people in masks did this. They were armed with truncheons. The men, although after this you can't call them men, beat Yelena and kicked her. They broke her fingers, demanding that she unblock her phone. Kommersant writes, this is not the first time this has happened. In 2020, Elena Milashina and lawyer Marina Dubrovina were beaten up in a hotel foyer in Grozny. Nezavisima notes that there's been a chorus of protest at the attack. The ultra-pro-Kremlin Izvestia mentions it and quotes the Russian Communications Ministry as saying, a journalist doing their job mustn't face harassment and torture. But I keep thinking back to that line in Moskovsky Komsomolets today, the one about the law being the foundation of any state. Take it away and everything falls apart, and instead of civilization you get chaos and destruction. If that is the case, then the problems run deep here. After all, this is a country which has, in the words of the United Nations, committed a violation of international law by invading its neighbour, resulting in death and destruction for Ukraine, but also for Russia. And this is a country where a communist businessman is currently building a Stalin Center out of respect for Stalin, even though under the Soviet dictator millions here suffered as a result of Stalin's repressions. That was a time when the law didn't protect Russians at all from state terror. And yet Stalin is being rehabilitated, along with elements of the Stalin era.